Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Ehsan, and in today's video we're going to solve another IELTS reading test. It is better to have this book in front of you, Cambridge IELTS book 7, and test 1 reading passage 3 is our target for today's video. It is better for you to have a pencil and take notes while watching this video. This is a walkthrough video. You're gonna learn lots of tips and tricks and turn off any distractors such as your cell phone to have your full concentration, and you're gonna learn lots of strategies to solve this test. And it is better for you to smile and feel relaxed, because the positive energy is gonna help you, especially during your real IELTS exam. But before we get started, if you're new here, please give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and also the notification bell, so whenever I upload a new video, you'll be aware of it. Let's jump into it. So I'm gonna split the page into two halves. On the left hand side, you're going to see the passage, Educating Psyche, and on the right hand side, you're going to see the questions. Okay, Educating Psyche. Psyche is about psychology. This is something that you can imagine, a book about psychology of learning. Educating Psyche. So this is a passage 3. So probably this is the most difficult ones to solve. Questions 27 until 30, multiple choice questions. I'm gonna just highlight the keywords. The book Educating Psyche, the name of the book, is mainly concerned with what? Question 28. Lozanov's theory claims that when we try to remember things, and in multiple choice questions, the questions and answers are in the same order. This is important to bear that in your mind. In this passage, the author uses the examples of a book and a lecture to illustrate that Lozanov claims that teachers should train students to... Okay. Questions 31 to 36. In true false not given, most of the times the questions and answers are in the same order. So 31, in the example of suggestopedic teaching, in the fourth paragraph, so this is the address for the first question, the only variable that changes is music. We get back to these questions because this is the first one that's really important. And how about questions 37 to 40? This is a table completion. This is sentence completion with the table, and sometimes they use the exact word from the table. Sometimes they use the synonyms or the vocabularies which are have the same meaning in the passage. So be careful with these kind of questions. Suggestopedia uses a less direct method of suggestion than other techniques such as hypnosis. Maybe hypnosis is great to look for in the passage to locate where the answer is, because where to find the answer is one of the key techniques that you have to master it in IELTS reading exam. Okay, now I'm going to start with the first question. The book Educating Psyche is mainly concerned with what? Educating Psyche by Bernie Neville is a book, so this is talking about the book, which looks at is mainly concerned with, it means that looks at radical new approaches to learning. Okay, radical new approaches to learning. First sentence first answer for the first question. The power of suggestion in learning. Know a particular technique for learning based on emotions. Know the effects of emotion on the imagination and the unconscious. Ways of learning which are not traditional. As you see, for not traditional, they use new approaches to learning. You see, not traditional, new approaches. These are the synonyms that you have to be aware of it. So the answer for 27 is D. Okay, D is the right answer. In front of 27, you have to write down. So this is the right answer. This is the answer. Let me just write down D in here to remember this is the right answer. Okay. Question 28. Lozanov's theory. Now let's just follow the rest of this paragraph describing the effects of emotion, imagination, and the unconscious on learning. One theory discussed in the book is that proposed by George Lozanov, which focuses on the power of suggestion. So Lozanov's theory claims that when we try to remember things, what happened? Lozanov's instructional technique is based on the evidence that the connections made in the brain through unconscious processing, which he calls non-specific mental reactivity, are more durable than those made through unconscious processing. Besides the laboratory evidence for this, we know from our experience that we often remember what we have perceived peripherally long after we have forgotten what we set out to learn. If we think of a book we studied months or years ago, we will find it easier to recall peripheral details. What are peripheral details? The color, the binding, the typeface, the table at the library where we sat while studying it. These are peripheral details, which means that unimportant details than the connect on which we were concentrating. So when we try to remember things, unimportant details are the easiest to recall. This is the exact meaning, is exact synonym of peripheral. You see, unimportant details, peripheral details. So here A is the right answer for question 28. As you remember, the IELTS reading test is a vocabulary test, and also you can find the meaning if you be careful with these are the color, the binding, the typeface, and so on and so forth. So question 29. In this passage, the author uses the examples of a book and a lecture to illustrate that. So here we are. If we think of a lecture, you see, if we think of a lecture, we listen to with great concentration. We will recall the lecturer's appearance and mannerisms, our place in the auditorium, the failure of the air conditioning, much more easily than the ideas we went to team. We went to learn here. Even if these peripheral details are a bit elusive, they come back readily in hypnosis or when we relive the event imaginatively, as in psychodrama. The details of the content of the lecture, on the other hand, seem to have gone forever. So this is another way of saying that we care about peripheral details, unimportant details. Okay, so both of these are important for developing concentration. No, his theory about methods of learning is valid. I'm not quite sure. Reading is a better technique for learning than listening. We can remember things more easily under hypnosis. No, the B is the right answer. his theory about methods of learning is valid. Why? Because this is the same meaning as the previous ones, as his theory. Okay, so B is the right answer for this question. Question 30. Lozanov claims that teachers should train students to. The phenomena can be partly attributed to the common counterproductive approach to study, making extreme efforts to memorize, tensing muscles, inducing fatigue, but it also simply reflects the way the brain functions. Lozanov therefore made indirect instruction suggestions central to his teaching system. In Suggestopedia, as he called his method, consciousness is shifted away from the curriculum to focus on something peripheral. Consciousness is shifted away from the curriculum to focus on something peripheral. So, this is his way of teaching. Teachers should train students to memorize details of the curriculum, develop their own sets of indirect instructions, think about something other than the curriculum content. Because it says that consciousness is shifted away. So something other than curriculum. Shifted away from the curriculum to focus on something peripheral. So here is the right answer for this question 30. And remember that this is a passage 3. So these are the toughest questions that you can face. This is not the easy ones to answer. Okay. Question 31 to 36. Here it says that fourth paragraph. This is great to find. Fourth paragraph. So the first question, paragraph 1, 2, 3, and this is paragraph 4. In the example of suggestopedic teaching, in the fourth paragraph, the only variable, this is a really tough word. The only variable that changes is the music. So, the suggestopedic approach to foreign language learning provides a good illustration. In its most recent variant, 1980, it consists of the reading of vocabulary and text while the class is listening to music. So, music is one of the factors. The first session is in 2 parts. In the first part, the music is classical, Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms, and the teacher reads the text slowly and solemnly, with attention to the dynamics of the music. The students follow the text in their books. This is followed by several minutes of silence. In the second part, they listen to Baroque music, Bach, Corelli, Handel, while the teacher reads the text in a normal speaking voice. During this time, they have their books closed. During the whole of this session, their attention is passive. They listen to the music but make no attempt to learn the material. So, is this the only variable that changes? As you can see, first they look at the book while listening to the music, and then they close the book. Okay, so book is changed. Watching the books, don't watch the books. So music is not the only variable that changes in that teaching method. Okay, so the answer for the question number 31 is actually false. Question 32. Prior to Suggestopedia class, students are made aware that the language experience will be demanding. The language experience will be demanding. So prior to the Suggestopedia, beforehand. Beforehand means prior. The students have been carefully prepared for the language learning experience. Through meeting with the staff and satisfied students, they develop the expectation that learning will be easy and pleasant. But here it says that the language learning will be demanding. Demanding is not easy and pleasant. This is the complete opposite. And they will successfully learning during this introduction. So the answer for this question is false. Now question 33. In the follow-up class, this is a grade to look for. The teaching activities are similar to those used in conventional classes. Several hundred words of the foreign language during the class. In a preliminary talk, the teacher introduces them to the material to be covered but does not teach it. Likewise, the students are instructed not to try to learn it during this introduction. Some hours after the two-part session, this is a follow-up class at which the students are stimulated to recall the material presented. Once again, the approach is indirect. The students do not focus their attention on trying to remember the vocabulary but focus on using the language to communicate, e.g. through games or improvised dramatizations. Such methods are not unusual in language teaching. So here it says that in the follow-up class, the teaching activities are similar to those used in conventional classes. And here it says that such methods are not unusual. So they are just like the conventional classes. Here the answer is true. Question 34. As an indirect benefit, students notice improvement in their memory. Something about memory. What is distinctive in the suggestopedic method is that they are devoted entirely to assisting recall. The learning of the material is assumed to be automatic and effortless, accomplished while listening to music. The teacher's task is to assist the students to apply what they have learned paraconsciously, and in doing so, to make it easily accessible to consciousness. There is nothing about memory. But just for the sake of this question, let's read question 35. Teachers say they prefer suggestopedia to traditional approaches to prefer. Something about preferring suggestopedia to traditional approaches to language teaching. Okay. Another difference from conventional teaching is the evidence that students can regularly learn 1,000 new words of a foreign language during a suggestopedic session, as well as grammar and idiom. There is no preference here, and there is no mention of memory. So these two questions are both not given. Not given. And the last question here, students in a suggestopedia class retain more new vocabulary than those in ordinary classes. Here it says that another difference from conventional teaching is the evidence that students can regularly learn 1,000 new words of a foreign language during a suggestopedic session, as well as grammar and idiom. So they learn new vocabulary. Question 36 is true. So here are the answers for these true, false, not given questions. Now, the last four questions, 37 to 40, and hypnosis is the main keyword here. Lozanov experimented with teaching by direct suggestion during sleep, hypnosis, and trance states, but found such procedures unnecessary. Hypnosis, yoga, silva, mind control, religious ceremonies, and faith healing are all associated with successful suggestion, but none of their techniques seem to be essential to it. Such rituals may be seen as placebos. Lozanov acknowledges. Here it says that, however, Lozanov admits that a certain amount of what is necessary in order to convince students, even if this is just a what. After a, you need a singular noun. A certain amount of what? Acknowledges means admits that the ritual surrounding suggestion in his own system is also a placebo. So here, ritual for question 37, but you don't write ritual in the answer sheet. You had to write down ritual from this table, and you had to write down F in here for question 37. Be careful what you are writing. And this is, even if this is just a what, is also a placebo. Again, singular noun you need here. And where is placebo? Placebo in here, H. Again, don't write placebo, write H in your answer sheet. Okay? Furthermore, if the method is to succeed, teachers must follow a set procedure. Although, important word, Lozanov's method has become quite what? Quite is important to remember. Quite what? The results of most other teachers using this method have been what? So, but maintains that without such a placebo, people are unable or afraid to tap the reserve capacity of their brains. Like any placebo, it must be dispensed with authority to be effective, just as a doctor calls on the full power of autocratic suggestion by insisting that the patient take precisely this white capsule precisely 3 times a day before meals. Lozanov is categorical in insisting that the suggestopedic session be conducted exactly in the manner designed by trained and accredited suggestopedic teachers. So, nothing is there. While suggestopedia, while means although, suggestopedia has gained some notoriety. Suggestopedy has gained some notoriety through success. Some here means quite. Become quite what? Quite notoriety. Notoriety means well known. You see, here they use the synonym, not the exact word. So you had to write down K in here. Through success in the teaching of modern languages. Few teachers, be careful. Here it said results of most teachers, most other teachers using this method have been what? Few teachers are able to emulate the spectacular results. So the results of few teachers are spectacular. So as a result, the results of most other teachers are unspectacular. Be careful. Here they use the opposite. You have to be careful. These are really 9 score questions for IELTS reading. So here, unspectacular, and you had to write down G in your answer sheet, not unspectacular. So this is the answer for the last question. I hope you like this video. If that's the case, please give me a thumbs up and share this video with your friend. I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.